Jus Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Jus Riffin. Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology. Jus Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Jus Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Jus Riffin.
What's up, everybody? Another Tuesday night. This is Jus Riffin. We do it every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us tonight. I'm one of your hosts, Hefner, and I got the homie, Cookie Rabinowitz. He's the other half of the show. He's the other host. Cookie Rabinowitz is in the building with us tonight, and we have another special guest for you and for everybody that's out there listening, and for us too. We got GodCloud. He is one of the dopest beat makers that's out there today. He does a lot of that finger drumming kind of stuff that you see live, and it's really, really cool how he does it, and he does it everywhere and anywhere. We're going to get into it with him today. He is actually on a flight. He messaged me earlier today that his flight got delayed, so he's on a flight going to Southwest by Southwest, a big event that's happening out there this week, I guess. And so he lands around 8 o'clock, so hopefully we can get him on around 9 o'clock tonight, and keep it moving. So Cookie Rabinowitz, what's happening with you? How was your week? What's going on, bro? What's cooking with Cookie?
That's badass for a music show, and I didn't even know South by Southwest is going on.
Yeah.
Slacker. But
slacker.
But yeah, you know, it's been a cool week. I had a really cool show. It was last Thursday. It was some Winterfest with that for XPN, a radio station here in Philadelphia, and it was a good benefit for some good causes too, and there was some really good different music there. But I had a blast, man. It was a lot of fun.
What were you? So this was a show that you were performing at. It was a Cookie Rabinowitz show.
Yeah.
Excellent. So how did it go down? How was the crowd? You know, what did you sell any merch? Were you doing anything like that? Did you use your NFC chips?
I did not use the NFC chips. I should have, but I didn't. Yeah. But I had a QR code that did a similar function, and okay. I moved quite a few of them, and
good.
The crowd was awesome. Like, it was one of those situations where it was a Thursday night. I was a little nervous. I was like, are anybody going to be here? And it was a really nice sized crowd. I wouldn't say it was sold out, but it was definitely a really good full crowd, and it was the type of crowd that sounded like a sold out show. Like they
gave you love, huh?
Yeah, they gave a lot of love. It was really cool.
I love it. That's great.
And for due cause too, because I've been putting together this solo performance shtick, that, if you want to call it, and I've been really working hard at that, and it's getting really to a level I'm almost comfortable with. But I played with the band at the show, and like, you know, the guys that come out and play with me, they're just, you know, we had Tone on the show, Tone Whitfield, and but the all the musicians that kind of join me on stage, they're really something special. They bring a lot of different sounds so it was fun.
That's dope. So we had Tone on the show. He's a dope dude. We got to get him to come back on, hang out with us again next time.
Yeah, he just did another time. He just did Tiny Desk with Bilal, so that was cool.
Wow. That's let's get him on the show and let's talk about that. That's fun, because I have a friend. I don't want to mention her name, but she's I don't know if she's still working there with Tiny Desk, but she started with Tiny Desk. I think she was part of that whole team that started Tiny Desk. So
yo, I just want to tell you, I love Tiny Desk, man. Like Anderson, you got to check out if you haven't seen Anderson .Paak's performance on that was so freaking killer.
I gotta do a sound check on Anderson .Paak. I'm gonna put one together, because I think he's one of the most underrated drummers. And I think he's one of the most underrated MCs. And to top it off, I didn't mean to cut you there, but to top it off, it's not easy to. First of all, it's not easy to play drums. I play drums. It is not easy to play drums, because you're different limbs. Each limb is going in a different direction. And I mean, I find it difficult, just like I think playing guitar or any instrument is very, very difficult for your brain to get it going, to compute and send out to your fingers to do what it is that your brain is wanting to do. But on top of it, he's rhyming, and on included in that, rhyming is hard too. Writing is hard. To be able to have your vocals be like that as Dilla would say, that extra percussion, swinging like extra percussion in the beat. So I give it down. I give it up to him because he gets down. Anderson .Paak, don't sleep on him. Check him out.
Totally. I don't think
Watch
many
him
people
live.
can be sleeping on him these days. I mean, he's in a lot of projects too. Like he's recorded. I love that No Worries project he did, and we had Pat Dimitri, the
Yeah.
guitar players on the show, and he was telling us that story how he actually was doing a bunch of dates where Anderson .Paak was, part of the band, or he was. I don't know if he was part of the band in one of the acts that was on the bill with them, but I thought that was so badass because Anderson .Paak, man, he just is like so. Just got the. Oh, what about two of our guests? And then we had DJ Icy Ice on, and he was saying how Anderson .Paak was spinning vinyl too. That dude is
Anderson .Paak getting
crazy.
around.
That dude is, he does it all, man. And his songs, his songwriting too. His songs are great. They're just great songs. Like even if he didn't play anything, produce anything, even if he just wrote those songs, they're just great freaking songs, man. I really dig his catalog. I keep his stuff playing on my way home from work to keep me awake sometimes. It's just got that vibe to it.
Anderson .Paak is super.
I want to add too, we're talking about singing and playing and stuff. Drums, I think guitar, if I say so myself, is probably the easiest one to kind of sing and play along with. I really give a shout out to
well, you're a guitar player, but I don't think so. I think it's hard also. I mean, I've watched some great guitar players that sing as well. And I even though I'm a musician, I still get astounded and just like, whoa, like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's amazing to see you guys play guitar and sing at the same time, because too, also you're zippity doodah on the fucking guitar and you're singing, and I'm like, yo, you know what I mean? It's not easy to do because timing, it's your brain is like you're split in two,
And that's what I wanted to comment on, like the timing thing. What really blows my mind is, like, I love playing bass and I love playing bass lines and writing bass lines and stuff. But the guys that are like those bass players that kind of really play intricate parts, and then they're also the lead singers of their groups, that really blows my mind. Because I'm like, I can play guitar and sing no problem. I can even play some basic drum beats and sing. Basic, mind you. But bass, like, to me, it's like the way I play bass, I would have to dedicate like 2 months, 10 hours a day just to that if I really wanted to like sing and play along with. Because it's very, I don't know if contrapuntal is the right word. I'm not that music guy that knows all the things, but like the different rhythms, like singing and then melodies and then melodies on the bass and playing. And it's just, and you want to always play that bass a little behind the beat and then you're singing. It's just like,
the layering.
Guys that do that, I'm just like, wow, they've been doing that all their lives.
Yeah,
and they do
it's like
every day still.
It's like
I want to add
breathing.
one other thing, since we're on the everyday still thing, and I love, I don't really care what people think. I'm a huge fan of the guitar player, Neil Schon. I don't know anybody would think
Neil Schon, bro. Come on, Journey, dude.
Well, some people, they think Journey because they're like a super commercial group, but I mean,
dude, no, he's insane.
But when they got started, it was Greg Raleigh on keyboards and Neil Schon. They both came from the band Santana. Neil Schon was playing guitar in Santana as the other.
Neil Schon was like 15.
He was. But so my whole point of this is I was saying that the guys playing bass and singing, they must have been doing that all their lives and still do it all their lives to maintain that. But one thing that's really cool about Threads, the social platform, I hope the AI in X doesn't pick up that I said the word Threads and blacklist our show now. But anyway, so I just saw on my timeline, Neil Schon was like just kind of in his room, just like we are right here. And he picked up his guitar like I could do. And he was just jamming along with some jams. And this is so fucking wicked, man. And then I followed him. And then what I realized is he does that every day. And the funny thing is, like, to me, like, Neil Schon is like, just like, he's like a melodic guitar wizard. And I was born at a time where there were rock stars. Now we're all bedroom stars, but like for me, being a guy who grew up being influenced and kind of fanboying Neil Schon as a kid, to just see him like every day on Threads, just whipping his guitar up, putting on a little jam and jamming along like every day. It's first off, it's awesome because it's kind of, I feel like I get a personal look inside an artist that I really dig. And
Yeah.
because you can tell he's not doing that for social media. Like that's what he'd be doing anyway. He
No,
just turns
yeah, he plays guitar, dude. Come on.
yeah,
He's been, yeah.
but then also, I just love it because that dude's been doing it for so long, and when you see him jamming, like, you can tell, like, he loves it just as hard as he did when he was, like, an 8-year-old kid or whenever he started doing it, and that
100%.
really inspires me, just, to here we go, I'm gonna say the thing you should never say. It just inspires me to keep going.
Yeah, dude, I want to correct myself. He was 17 when he started with Santana, and he's played with Bad English. He's played with Journey,
Yeah,
of course. Like, Journey was his main. He played with Jan Hammer, dude. Come on, bro.
yeah, he had a song called No Lies with Jan Hammer in the 80s. And then he also put together a quote unquote super group. But to me, they were super. But what they did was he had this project. This is really great for the output driven society of today. So Sammy Hagar, Aronson, and Shreve. I think Kenny Aronson, bass player and drummer, and Sammy Hagar. They said, we're going to go into a studio and write a whole album in 2 weeks and record it, and they go on tour. And it was called HSAS, and they actually did it.
Yeah.
And the songs might not have been these masterpiece songs because they literally just went to the studio with nothing prepared, but they said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make an album in 2 weeks.
Pro musicians getting together, hanging out, having fun.
And they did it. And the thing is, it was cool. Like, the funny thing is why I'd give a disclaimer is, like I said, I shouldn't, because these guys they're serious musicians, all of them.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I don't know. I'm like thinking of like my jazz friends looking over my shoulder right now saying, dude, but whatever.
Yeah, that dude was dope. And Journey was a dope group, and him and what was it, Raleigh? Those guys wrote like most of that stuff, and just amazing, dude. It's too bad that they didn't make it out, full. Like a lot of good bands. I think Van Halen too, the same thing. Like, they just couldn't get it together. Like, personally, they couldn't get it together. And it's sad because. Who is the lead? Steve Perry, like an amazing voice with, that voice just cut through the music so well. It was just amazing. And the same with David Lee Roth and Van Halen, just two great, amazing voices during that time that just blended so well with the music. And it just sucks. I mean, there's a lot of bands. I'm just using them too because they're on the top of my head. But so many bands that happens to, where the personal, whatever personal shit gets involved, and it breaks a band up that's like, like an amazing group, but then you got those bands that are just awesome too, that just don't break up, that stay together through the thick and the thin. And so you got that too. But yeah, maybe I'm being a little selfish.
Just on that tip, I love the guys that I play with. I have the utmost respect for them. They're amazing, and as human beings, they're amazing too. But even with that, and it's just, it's really, you have to work on it. It's not even bands, it's not girls, it's not guys, it's not whatever pronoun you choose, or whatever artistic organization.
Are we still doing pronouns? Is that still a thing?
I don't know, who cares? But anyway, but my point is any relationship on any level is a lot of work to maintain, even if everybody in there is awesome. It's like there's different.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, you got to deal with all those personalities, and everyone's doing different stuff. There was somebody I was watching. I forget. I don't know the guy's name. He's the drummer. He's of a band, and it's POV. Everything POV. So he walks through like the whole day to day, what happens, how it goes down, what he, getting on the bike and going around the tour. This guy seems to be very healthy, living healthy, because he understands the rigorous, shit that is put against his body, by drumming and then sleeping, in a fucking tour bus, and every once in a while you get a hotel room, but and then eating terrible, so they were at one place that was just amazing. And he showed the pool. He's like, I'm definitely going in the pool. This venue had everything amazing for the musicians, and the catered food was just awesome. He's like, oh, finally healthy food. It's rare that this happens, but he takes you into, I got to find the video and I'll play a little snippet on the show, but he takes you into, what's happening, like what he sees. And I think that's really, really cool for people that might be interested in knowing what is going on behind the scenes of a show, the lead up to a show as well, you know.
Very cool. I mean, I like my porn POV too. No, I'm just kidding.
I know you do. I want to give a shout out to a couple people that are tuned in tonight. I got my FYC crew, my homies from San Diego. Hopefully they're watching. I think Norm and Ron. So props to everybody that always tunes in, you know, and watches us and hangs out with us. We also have Hishmad. He's over in Indonesia, Jakarta. He's in the chat. So big up to Hish. I call him Hishy. Super nice guy. Been on the timeline for a while, so we're Twitter friends, ex-friends, whatever you want to call it. Ex-friends just sounds weird. It's like he's no longer my friend, but my Twitter friend.
Hey, speaking of Indonesia, since you mentioned Indonesia,
yeah,
you know, there's like a current popular type of guitar style that's out now. It's like a headless guitar. They're lightweight and they're really high tech, but they're all being manufactured, I noticed, in Indonesia. And
can you play it?
I played one of them and it was like ridiculous. It was like tuned, like the intonation and the playability was like a Stradivarius violin. So shout out to Indonesia manufacturing some really fucking cool guitars, you know.
That's dope, dude. I love it, man. Where's the farthest that you've traveled? Where have you traveled to?
To me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so like I technically live in Jersey and I lived in Philly all my life. One time they made it as far. It was crazy. I was getting wild and I wanted to let my hair down. I wanted to do something crazy. It was like a big day for me. So I went all the way to Wildwood, New Jersey.
Have you been out of the country?
I have never been out of the country. I know lack of culture. I have a lack of culture, but I will say this. There's so many things in this country that I still need to experience as well. So I plan on being here a lot longer, and I'm going to hit it all as I can. Who knows? Maybe we'll go see. Maybe me and you will go take a trip to Lisbon to see Rug Radio this year or something. Or
that's what I'm talking about.
Where's that one NFC conference or an NFT conference? Summit.
NFT New York, bro.
No, there's. Well, I've been to that. I've been to that.
I was just fucking around, bro.
No, but I think there's one in Lisbon. I think that they do.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll check that out. You know, so. But yeah, so you know, I actually was booked on a tour with Schoolie and Doodlebug, and it was in Europe, and it got canceled last minute. That was kind of a drag, but
that sucks. All right, so look, I'm gonna play this. This is POV. You're a pro drummer at a massive arena. The band is called Prevail. So here it is a little bit. It's really cool what he does. It's about 25 minutes long.
I love it. I love it already.
Well, they're playing the show without their singer. All right.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, that's what he was saying in the beginning of the show is they're down one singer. But
he looks like he really goes for it. And he's got some guns.
Yeah, as I said, this guy seems to be pretty healthy and in shape, and he takes care of himself, even though they're on tour for such a long time. And you know, it's pretty cool that he actually takes you through the process. You know, but he's lucky there; he's got a hotel room and stuff. So yeah, you know. So
here's the situation. Our lead singer Brian found out probably about a year ago that he has a super rare condition called Eagle syndrome. The tendons in the side of your neck here calcify and become incredibly hard. Then a couple months ago, he got a surgery where he removed both from each side of his throat. But the problem is he has not healed properly from it yet. We had a band call about 10 days ago where Brian let us know that he was just not in the position to sing and come on this tour with us.
What a drag.
We're just hoping that we can give the fans the best show that we possibly can. So let's see what playing a show without our lead singer looks like.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's really interesting, you know, quite honestly, that you know, that he's doing it this way and he does it really well. Like, remember we talk And we would always say, like, you're anything that you're doing, it has to be compelling. It's got to resonate with the people. That definitely was compelling to me, and it definitely resonated with me because I'm a drummer. But more importantly, I think that's really, really cool to take somebody into your tour like that, where it's actually your view of what you're seeing and what you're hearing, and then he gives the explanation of what's happening, just as the with the singer, with the having the calluses, that build up, or calcium or whatever that builds up in his neck. And so just interesting stuff. But more importantly with that, he does it properly. He's just not like all over the place, like, hey, watch me drum and this is what's happening. He actually puts it together to make it compelling. So
it's cool. Yeah, no, it's
props.
very structured. I mean, I like it either way. Anyways, like even if somebody is kind of haphazard and doing some wild shit, I think it's always fun to take a peek into somebody else's process and the way they're experiencing their journey, whatever it is, being a musician or whatever they're doing. That's, to me, that's the coolest part of social media. It's like you see people, you take a look inside. In a way, there's cons to it too, because I also really dug, like we were saying earlier, with the rock stars. And I just use that as a generic term, but I do think it's cool, the mystique of an artist, too. Like Prince, Prince wasn't about to fucking put his omelet in a picture on Instagram, and I'm glad he didn't, because I would have. I see him a certain way, and this goes into branding too. Not that we're a show on branding or that type of stuff, but branding really is what people think of you more than what you create, because you might create something, but the way people perceive it, I believe, is the actual brand. And like the way I perceive Prince is this kind of like this mystique. He has a mystique to him. But like now, that's not what people do now. Now people are like, "Hey, check this out. Can you believe I dropped a deuce this big? Look at it. It's this big." I mean, really, that's pretty much the only thing we don't do. And I'm not saying it's bad, but it's definitely different than things used to be. And I'm not saying that things should be like the way they used to be, but it's different.
Things are different. Times have changed, bro. That's how it is, right? That's what's up, bro.
You better start
So
swimming, or you'll sink like a stone. You know why? Because the times, they are a changing.
they are changing. So I just got getting messages from GodCloud. He said almost on the ground. And then he just said, let's see, just waiting to get off the plane now. May have to get started on the plane. LOL. That's awesome. All good, bro.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I just messaged him back. So like, if he gets in, comes in, awesome. If he could do it from wherever he's at, whatever, it's all good. I told him zero stress, no rush. So we have everybody, we have GodCloud on the show today. He's running a little bit late due to airlines. Shit happens, right? So you know how the airlines are running. And it's just glad that he's there safe with all
There he
the
is.
crazy shit that's happening with the
He's
airlines.
there now. Hey, Hep, he's right in the room.
Oh, here he is. Here he is. Where is he?
What's up, man?
What up? What up? What up? All right, let me introduce everybody. This is GodCloud. He made it. He's at the airport on the plane, still getting off. And so this guy is like an amazing beat maker, awesome producer, and MC as well, and just works with a lot of people. And just happy to have him on the show. GodCloud, welcome to Jus Riffin. What's cooking, bro? You're on the plane. You're on your flight. Ended your flight. What's good?
Yeah, the plane is landed, but we're still on the flight, so I figured we're probably going to be here a minute. So let's get into it. But I don't know if you can hear all that noise, but I'll just mute anytime I'm not speaking.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, we could hear the noise. It's all to the good. So tell us about this journey. So real quick, because you're on a plane and it's relevant now, right? So you were coming from. If you want to tell us where you were coming from, where you're at, what you're going to be doing in where you are at South West by Southwest. Give us a little brief story on this.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, I'm in the middle of the Beyond the Block tour, which is powered by Third Planet Studios, which they are essentially they're like a management company here in Web3. They're developing some cool stuff too. And yeah, I was just in Denver for the first part of it, but it was my daughter's 5th birthday, so I had to fly back home to New York. And now, after a day and some change, I'm finally getting down to Austin for South by Southwest and the rest of the tour.
That's awesome. So how long is this tour for? How long are you on the dates?
We are gonna be going, let's see, I think up until NFT NYC. Gonna be doing like some sporadic shows and then doing a big thing for NFT NYC. So when's that? June? Yeah, but I'm gonna be taking breaks in between anyway. It's my 5-year-old. She doesn't like me being gone for too long. You know what I mean? So
Most now. Well, that's great, dude. And then and tell us one more time who is sponsoring this tour? Who's it brought by?
Third Planet Studios. If you want to check
Third
them
Planet
out.
Studios.
They just do a lot of cool shit for for us Web3 artists, and they have their own metaverse thing in HyperFi. So all the shows you can peep it in HyperFi too. It's really sick how they got that all set up.
Awesome.
Very dope, dude. This guy's still on the plane. The
Yo,
people are probably
I
like,
just wanna shout
is this
him
guy
out.
famous?
Yeah. Let's shout out GodCloud just for that, man. That's so hardcore, man. Right on the plane, getting right to business, man. Appreciate you, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's dope. He had hit me up earlier today to let me know that this is gonna happen. And so I was like, no stress. We could reschedule it, no problem. But dude, GodCloud, man, much props, bro. You're on the plane and we're doing the show from the plane. It's great. That's awesome, bro.
Hey, I appreciate you guys scheduling the time with me. So, I'm going to show up.
Yep.
I said I was going to show up when I was going to show up, so I'm here.
That's what I'm saying. Much props. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been, writing, you've been making beats, rapping. What came first for you? What was it that brought you into music itself?
What brought me into music first, man, honestly, was violin. I started playing violin when I was young. My dad played music, played instruments and everything too. So I just kind of followed in his footsteps. But I got really into metal at one point too. And my first instrument that I really studied was bass, electric bass. So bass player first. I guess we're getting off the plane now. But yeah,
They got some dogs on the plane or what?
I don't know. I don't know what that is. It sounds like a dog, right? I don't know what that is.
That's someone let the dogs out for sure.
Yeah. Glad I'm getting off shit, right? The plane market.
Don't get attacked, bro.
Yeah, for sure. But here, listen, I'm gonna hop off and I'm gonna jump right back on. Okay, guys?
Okay, no problem, dude. We're here chilling.
All right, cool. Give me like 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right, you got it. All right, we'll be right back with GodCloud. Everybody, this is Jus Riffin. We do it every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. GodCloud came in for a minute because he's on the plane. He's getting off the plane, so he'll be coming back in a minute. You heard dogs, right? I know the dogs are usually at your house, but I was like, what's going on? You heard dogs, right?
Yeah. It sounded like I forget what it's called, but like when they're putting the flaps down.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking
like
about.
that. But I could hear the dog sounds too, though. I mean, to me, dogs are very distinct in my head and in my nightmares.
I was like, those are some aggressive dogs, bro.
I know precisely what they sound like. But yeah. So you know what? I was just while GodCloud's not in the building. I know we're working on some things, but I know you've been experimenting with that software that you were talking about on the show a couple times ago. Did you want to just not to give the whole enchilada? Because I know you're still working with it, but is there any updates on it? Because
So I'll give a little intro to it also. So if people don't know what the hell we're talking about, pardon me, I ate some pizza before the show and I got a little burping going on, a little burp action happening. I'm doing my burpees, bro. So I've been messing with this software called Spawn from a company called Lemonade. And Spawn, what it allows you to do is there's actual melodies that are inside of this software that are created by real musicians. And what it allows you to do is to spawn, you can spawn, it's got everything, dark, happy, energetic, you want a violin, you want a bass, you want anything. It doesn't do drums, but it'll do all the chords and melodies and stuff like this. And it allows you to spawn these things. When you spawn, you hit spawn and it spits out a melody.
Can I just interject real quick? Would you say it almost like generates just like the old school 10,000 projects where you would mint and random generate like all these
That's
things. Is
kind
it
of a good
like that?
analogy. That's a good analogy. Well, it's I presume because maybe this is one of ones. Each one is a one of one, let's say, because you have the software and I have the software, and we use the same filters, same characteristics. Like we're asking it to do dark or energetic, and violin, and I don't know, something else, vocals or something added into that, and or 70s vibe. So whatever your output's going to be is going to be totally different, even though we're using the same parameters, right?
No 3D
So,
glasses?
huh?
No 3D glasses?
No 3D glasses, but you know, definitely could. Yeah, I have no rebuttal to that. Okay. But normally I would have something witty to say, but I think I'm just very tired today. I'm gonna blame it on just senior moments today, aging, and very tired today. So my brain is not working. It's working about 80% capacity. So, but at any rate, with this software, it's you how do I say it? Okay, so you spawn it, and then it's got 8 different sequences of that particular spawn. You can respawn as many times as you want. You can use any of these different sequences, and we'll hopefully, I reached out to the company. I been in emailing back and forth with them, and we're working on getting the CEO of the company to come on our show and to talk about it and discuss it and give a rundown of how it actually works, and and then we'll leave it up to you, the audience, if it's something that you would fuck with. I think anybody that needs a head start, somebody that is looking for something to build off of, this is going to be a great tool for you. Or if you have producer's block, right? You need some ideas, you need some thoughts. The very cool thing about it is that everything can be manipulated. So I did a song, and it's not what spawned out to me. It's part of what spawned out to me, because what I did then was I took that MIDI file and I moved it into Ableton, and then I manipulated it in Ableton. You can also add your own MIDI instruments to it. So if you don't like the sounds or the tones or whatever that's coming out of the MIDI track or the MIDI sequence that you produced from Spawn, you can change it with your own. You can do whatever you want. You have full control. On top of it, it's all commercial free. So you can use this. You can use anything from that, and you can monetize from it. You don't have to pay a royalty check. There's nothing of that nature, whereas is as if you were like sampling an artist. By the way, I was reading today that Lou Reed owns 100% publishing of Can I Kick It from A Tribe Called Quest. Right?
Yeah.
I think it was Can I Kick It? Because they sampled, let me just double check. But
yeah, it was Can I Kick It?
It was okay. So yeah, I didn't know that he owned 100% of it. He owns 100% of the publishing of that song. And that's one of Tribe's most iconic songs. It's incredible.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think 100% is probably
a little too much.
Yeah, a little too much. I think, if anything, because they didn't really do anything to it. They didn't flip the sample. They sampled the music, and so I believe that it should have been maybe a 50-50 split, because Tribe is doing their thing on it too. And then, it's Lou Reed, like that whole thing is Lou Reed. So, yeah, I think, that's probably, that's if I were looking at it like that. And I sample, I'm a hip hop artist that samples too, but I would be willing to split it 50-50, because that's how I would feel that it was fair that way. He obviously felt different, and he took 100% of the publishing of that song though. But that song, yeah,
that song is legendary. The Lou Reed song is legendary. Lou Reed is legendary.
Yeah.
And A Tribe Called Quest is legendary as well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
However, this is what I think. I think the fact that they did just use it like that. So the way the copyrights work, like if they would have just covered "Take a Walk on the Wild Side," that would have been cool. Like, and they would get all the performance stuff, and he would get the writer's stuff.
They could have did it as a parody, and they would have been able to do it.
They could have, but what they did, and this is where they're very strict with copyright laws. When you take a piece of a song and you use it for your own will, that's when you have to okay that with the person who created it, or at least the person who owns the rights to who created it.
Right.
Now, the thing is, when you're an artist, like they could have been, and I don't know the whole depth of the story, but they could have just been kind of making music and grabbed that sample, right?
It was early in their career.
And before you know it, though, they have this awesome track. Once the track is done, and then they release it. So, but I feel like, I don't know in Lou Reed's case, but I feel like if the creative process was different, which thank God it isn't, because we probably wouldn't get as great a music, they would approach the artist first and be like, yo, man, is it cool? Like we do this, and they'd probably get a better deal. But a lot of times I think this stuff is out of the bag and it's too late to work out a good deal. Like the people on the other side yet go, yo, I didn't say this was okay, you know? So they kind of have a bit of they're a bit offended by it too, but only because it's not because the other person was in any wrongdoing. They were just being their artistic selves, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
and I, you know, I don't know. This was like a, you know, earlier time in the 90s, early 90s. And so, you know, it was, you know, everyone in hip hop was just like, you know, what's the big deal? Really, what's the big deal? You know, but I could see the other side too, because if I was the musician that was being sampled too, I would want my cut of it, or I would work something out with the group. You know, I mean, I'm a musician, so I would one, be flattered that they used my sample, that they're using my anything, and I think it was all so new to both parties. You know, hip hop, not really new to hip hop using samples, but to the artists that were being sampled, it was new. And this whole thing is always lawyers. You know, like let's go after them, let's get some money. And so I think that happened in the early days. Now the splits are probably a lot better, but you know, I just feel like you know, it might have been a lot. It might have been just overboard. You know, with a lot of the Turtles, also with De La Soul, there was a whole big thing. And this, I think, just was early days of the second generation of hip hop, and you know, where it started to get into like sample based hip hop. And you know, look, people wanted their money, you know.
Well,
you have people like James Brown, Bob James. There was so many artists that were, and then you had some obscure stuff that, you know, if you were really good, people wouldn't be able to find out what sample it was if you were that good at flipping the sample. But I think that Lou Reed one, that, you know, I think on the Walk on the Wild Side's a huge, everybody knows that record, you know, like, you know, that song, everyone knows that song. So I think that it was hard to hide that. But
well, for sure. And it's not even a matter of hiding. So once again, we go back to the copyright laws, right? So the copyright laws say, hey, you can cover this and it's this, but if you take a piece of it and use that, now what the thing is there's legislation and there's law behind that says, I forget what it is, but it's like very pricey. It's like $150K for every use or something. It's like it's a set standard. It's not just a thing. So and for just a reason, because just like an artist has a right to be creative in the hip hop realm, like Lou Reed, you know, or whoever the artist is, they create something, and I believe that they have a right to feel a certain way about, hey, you know what, I made this for this. I don't necessarily want to be used for that.
Yeah, so I think that was the case. I think that was the case. And he probably didn't like hip hop music either, didn't understand it. And I think, you know, like that's why Lou Reed has always been an outspoken person anyway. He's always been outspoken about a bunch of different shit, not just that. And I think that was just something really new that, you know, hip hop was doing, which was sampling other people's music. Now, if they would have taken the music and replayed it, they'd have been good. They wouldn't have had to deal with the fucking clearing a sample. They're just remaking a song, and you're allowed to remake a song. You don't have to get permission. You could just remake the fucking song. You have to credit the writers, the original writers and whatnot, but you don't have to, you know.
And the pay is negligible. I was going to say the pay is negligible on that. Like if you do it that way, it's very reasonable. Like you can cover a song, you know, like I forget. Oh, cool. We got GodCloud in the building. I see he's jumping back in.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, it's interesting stuff though, man, and it's always changing and evolving. You
Yeah.
know?
That's right. We'll get back to. By the way, we went onto a tangent. We'll get back to Spawn, the software at another time. But it's really cool. You should definitely check that out. And let's talk to GodCloud. Let's bring him back in here
Yeah.
and see if he knows about Spawn. GodCloud, I've been messing with this music software called Spawn by a company called Lemonade. Have you messed with it at all? Are you familiar with it?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Please tell me more about it.
Okay. Well, I don't want to talk about it because we have you on as a guest of the show. I just really wanted to know if you were messing around with it, and I'll get you information on it afterwards. It's something that I kind of just started messing with and reach out to the company because I want to talk to them. I want to see what they're about, what the purpose of them is making this, like what their outlook is for the future. But it's a pretty cool software. You make music, and I thought maybe you knew of it, because I know you're into hip hop. So, but forget about that. We're talking to GodCloud today. Welcome back to the show, GodCloud. Welcome back to Jus Riffin.
Entertainment at its best. Jus Riffin.
All right, so we got GodCloud here. GodCloud, what's cooking, bro?
What is up?
All right, so where you at now?
I'm in Austin right now.
Hell yeah.
Walking the baggage claim. I never been. This is my first time in Texas, like at all. So, you guys are witnessing history right here.
Are you gonna get some barbecue while you're there?
Oh hell yeah, dude! Yeah. I used to be a chef in my past life, so every time I travel, I try to hit up the butcher shops or the top restaurants in town and just see what's
Hey,
see what's cooking.
Speaking of touring and what's cooking, we were watching a POV of a drummer in a group called Prevail. He's been like YouTubing his whole process and whatnot, and he seems to like eat healthy, even though like being on the road is vigorous at times. You're eating crap, for the most part. What's your eating habits on tour? What do you look to just eat anything, or are you try to stay healthy and fit?
Oh, listen, I haven't been on the road in a minute, but I do try to lean more, to not eat garbage because that's going to affect your performance. And always try to find like local spots that are getting, somewhat farm to table shit. You know what I mean? You always want to try to eat as well as you can, and even if you can't, like the salad, throwing in that, throwing a salad or two in your diet. To try to combat the QPCs, you know what I mean? Got to do that,
For sure. So, okay. Also, I saw that you were performing with Ada Body. We had Ada on the show, and I was supposed to, we were supposed to, when we were down in I live in Miami, so, Rug Radio is our house. I ended up getting sick, so I couldn't really go to like see everybody that I wanted to. But tell us a little bit about your collaboration with Ada Body. What was it that you did with Ada?
Yeah, so for that collaboration, what we were all staying together at the same Airbnb in Miami for Art Basel, right? And we're like, hey, we got a house full of freaking musicians. Like, why waste this opportunity? Everybody had their instruments, and Otto was showing off. He brought like a whole little fucking studio with him. It's like, goddamn, dude. Like, he had a mic stand and a full keyboard, a guitar, everything. I'm like, holy shit, bro. Like, okay. But so we all started jamming. I laid down some drums, and Clay Jean, the trap violinist, he did his thing on the violin. Ada did some more work on the production, and everybody.
Did you jump on the violin at all?
No, I didn't. I didn't stick with it after I quit. Like, I quit when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I started playing bass full time. My family was always like, "You gonna play something?" You know what I mean? I came from one of those families. They're like, "You gotta do something with this music shit." So, like, you want no violin? Well, here's a bass. Get on that shit, But yeah, so I did the drums, and then I laid a verse down on it, and we actually performed the first three verses live at one of the shows in Denver. I think on our last show in Denver, we did part of the track live. It went pretty good.
Cool.
It's a fucking banger.
Are you originally from NYC? You're originally from New York?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Rochester, New York, which is upstate.
Is that are you staying up there now, or you moved down towards the city?
Oh no. Yeah, I'm still up there. Still up there. We just got the baby in a really nice private school, so I'm not.
Good.
We're not going nowhere no time soon.
Yeah. How's the music scene? I know, like in smaller towns and stuff, and you're upstate, obviously, and so it's a little bit different, more suburbia style. How's the music culture out there? How's the music scene where you at, where you live?
I mean, it kind of ebbs and flows. I feel like anytime somebody gets really big in Rochester, they take off, never to be seen or heard in that town or on any town or stage in town again.
That's awesome.
So I'm waiting for that to happen with me. So I just be like, fuck y'all, bye. but yeah, like as far as the metal scene goes, I don't know if you know Sirens and Sailors, the band. Metal band? No. Well, they're a pretty big metal band. You can look them up when you get a chance. Check them out.
What was the name of the band again? Tell me again.
Sirens and Sailors.
Okay, I'm gonna look them up. I got it.
Yeah, check them out. Because I got to watch them evolve from opening bar band to turning into what they are now. And same thing with the rapper 38 Special. He's good friends with my dad. We're like like an unofficial like cousins or whatever. Some of my dad are just
right on.
Whatever, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, he's big time from there for the rap community. And other than we got a lot of other hidden gems that came out of Rochester too. But as far as like the scene goes for independent music, man,
yeah, people
weren't giving me the time of day until I started kind of popping in Web3 and shit. Then I was able to be on the radio, but even still, it was just like an interview.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
It's you're talking about the Web3 stuff, and I've been checking out some of your videos, and very cool. Like everything you shoot is just like it looks and sounds really pro. And I'm gonna rewind a little bit back where you said add a body, with the whole studio and stuff. And one thing I think is really cool about the craft that you chose is you're a multi-instrumentalist, but really you can go anywhere with this box, right? And you can get it done. And I think that's really powerful. And another thing I want to add to that is these boxes, like, whatever, I'm not sure what you use. I want to hear about that more in a minute too, but like whatever it is, some people use the MPCs or the machines or this and that. But they're all really cool. And I love people that get down like that. But the extra bonuses with you is not only that, like, hypothetically, I could be at an open mic somewhere and you could just happen to be there. I'd be like, yo, and it's not like you got to push a button, push play. Like you can actually vibe and be right there and playing like a musician. And beat makers that don't do it that way, they're musicians too. I'm not throwing any shade at that. It's all a process. But playing live as an instrument that way, I just think it's so cool. And it leads me to ask you, when you are recording, do you like to record it live too, or do you take a different approach when you're like making music for recorded consumption, not for performance, in other words?
Yeah, I try to do as much performance in the, if you're listening to a GodCloud track, there's a lot of performance in there. You know what I mean? The one thing that I will say where it varies is I don't quantize any of my finger drumming stuff. That's all happening live. No quantized gang. Like that's a whole hashtag. But yeah, like if you listen to, if you go to godcloud.org and go get GodCloud on Doomsday, you're gonna hear different instrumentation, the keys or whatever. Everything is a live performance. But I do quantize because I want it to sound a bit more
Sure.
I don't know, a bit more clean if I'm putting out like a record, you know what I'm saying? The finger drumming videos are kind of like a for lack of better terms, like kind of like a masturbatory like release of sound goo for me, you know what I mean? Because I'm just like, all right, cool, like this is what I'm feeling like. I want to do this because I've been training my fingers to do this. And sometimes it might be tight. Sometimes it might start slipping off, but that's just live performance. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So that I know
I
it's got to
want
touch on a lot of things here.
I want to play a little clip of you of
You got an
playing.
old one there. Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to. So that right there is just incredible. When did you realize that you had the talent to be able to finger drum like that, to be able to do it live, you know, where you're doing what you were just doing in that video?
Oh man. I guess I always kind of knew I could do that because, like I was saying, my pops, he worked around. You know, he had drum. He always had drum machines as long as I can remember. These people are like filming a reunion in front of me, and they're like,
Hell yeah, dude.
So let me get out of their way really quick. They just like totally like stopped in front of me, giving flowers and hugging and shit.
Dude, they're your fans, man.
Yeah, right. I think they're fans of their family reuniting more so, but you know, I was starting to, you know, be like, hey, yo, what's up? I'm in the shot too.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, so I was raised around drum machines, basically, right? Like my pops had the Injury 660, which is one of the like the old models, and there was just always like MIDI shit around the house when I was young, you know.
Yeah.
And when around the time of middle school, I was really into to Nirvana, right? And I wanted to be able to play. So there's this one kid who his dad had bought him and his band like all the instruments and shit, right? So I'm hearing stories about this guy who could play guitar, drums, and bass, and I thought I was badass because I had a guitar and a bass and a little drum machine at the time, you know. But they're like, oh, nah, he could play all the Nirvana songs, da-da-da, this and that. And that's when I was like, man, I want to learn how to play drum kit. And through me learning how to play drum kit, that got my hands ready. And plus, you know, I was playing pretty like complex bass shit too when I was young. But I think all of that set me up to be able to do what you're seeing me do there.
Really dope, man. I mean, it's not easy to do. I'm a drummer, and you know, I don't know if I could do. I've never really like tried to do it like that, like how you're doing it. But amazing that that you could do this. I was on tour with Frank Nitnilla J. We were in Europe, and I forget the guy's name. He was doing this. This was 2014, and I was just blown away. We did the show with this guy in Berlin, and I just was like, wow, that was the first time I had ever seen it. You know, someone actually making the drums and making the beats right there live, but doing it like that. Normally you'd be in the studio and you lay your drums, your hi-hats, or whatever, however your process is of making the drums. I just think that that's incredible to me that you're able to do it in such a, you know, way that it sounds dope. It doesn't sound like you're just hitting buttons, you know. I think that's awesome. So mad props for that, bro.
For sure. You know, I also want to add to that, when you were talking about those videos where it's kind of masturbatory and you're maybe working on new things, like when people approach in general, I'm not that you would know how other people do it, but the way you do it, like with the pads, like most people that have a layout of pads, maybe it's like 4 rows of 4. And do you always have the same like mapping? Like, in other words, is your snare drum always in the same spot? Is your bass, and then you keep like the melodies in a certain spot? And do your fingers, like, in other words, the way a drummer would use one hand for a hi-hat and another one for kicking, is that kind of the way you lay out the kit? And if you do lay out the kit that way, do you feel like you're doing it a certain way, or do you feel like it's kind of a standard way that everybody kind of lays it out?
Oh yeah, so you got a couple questions in there, so I'll try to hit them all without going off on like really long tangents, because you're talking about the stuff I like to talk about right now.
Get into it, bro. You're good.
So yeah, like pad layout, man, that's all right, so because finger drumming is like this dark art, right? If somebody gets a small glimpse of what's going on, they tend to make that like their gospel. You know, so if they see like, oh, that person sets their kit up like that, that's how they'll do it, and they will never deviate from that, and that's how they're gonna always fucking do it. And you know what I have found is that I set my kit up differently per like style of music, like to what of what is being called for. You know what I mean? So if let's say I'm playing in like a rock setting or something, right? Or something that's got a lot of guitars going on. It's more, you want more of a realistic kit vibe, right? I have my layout for that, where it's like a realistic kit. If I'm doing like my super bassy stuff where you're hearing the pitched 808s going like all that type of shit, there's a setup for that as well, you know? So I think I probably have 3 different setups that I switch between, and for the most part, from what I've seen, it's not like how most people do it. A lot of times, dudes aren't even fucking finger drumming, fam. Like,
What are they doing?
what are they doing? That's a good question. We should
Push and play. They're
Yeah.
push and play.
No, it's not that they're push and play, but my thing is when I'm playing. Okay, so if you're playing a drum kit, right? When you hit one of the drums, it doesn't make other drums sound off, right? Like when you hit your kick, and I know a lot of times when you hit the kick, you're simultaneously hitting the crash too to get that emphasis. But when you like hit your crash, you don't make like a kick sound, nor when you hit your kick, it doesn't make a crash sound, right? You feel me? And all of this stuff I'm saying, take it with a grain of salt, because we're playing with drum machines here. There's kind of no rules, but I feel like if you're gonna say that you're finger drumming, at least all of the drums you need to be triggering. You know, in every instance of a drum hit, you need to be making that happen. It shouldn't be. And again, like I said, no rules here, but this is just my personal ethos.
For sure.
Because this shit bugs me when I see a motherfucker push a button and they get a hi-hat roll, or you know what I mean? It's like, dude, I like, it's hard doing like fast hi-hats. I practice for that shit, so you're gonna hit a button and just got that right.
I watched some of the stuff you do in your videos, and it's really cool. And it also makes, I hope I'm not being too geeked out here, but it also makes me want to ask you like about velocity type of stuff. Like, do you keep your hi-hats on your closed hi-hats on different buttons for velocity, or do you keep one pad that just has a lot of different variations so you can hit it harder and softer? I'm just interested.
No. That's something. You know, round robins are cool. And I did a demo for L Gates. I don't know if you guys know a producer.
Yeah.
But I just did a demo for his sound pack, and he had like a fuck ton of round robins in this shit, man. Like one to go with every velocity parameter. So, you know, 0 to 170, freaking round robins in this shit, man, which is really impressive and really cool. In some of my earlier stuff, I used to keep my velocity all the way up. And on pads, what would that be? On 3, 7, and 8, I would keep 2 closed hi-hats, one on 3, one on 7. Then on 8, I would have an open hi-hat. And that's how I would like kind of, you know, mix it up a bit. And back in the day, I would always have my velocity up because that silver drum machine you saw me playing, that thing is stiff as fuck. It's so hard to like you really got to hit that fucker, you know what I'm saying? So I would always have my velocity up so I wouldn't get like a quiet note or anything like that. But once I started getting better equipment in the newer drum machines, it's like, damn, I don't need to have my velocity up all the time, so I can get those dynamics and get those different textures and shit in when I'm doing, you know, doing swells or whatever. You can't do that with the velocity all the way up. So I don't do the round robin thing on my own personally, but I do have the velocity just set to wherever it's coming from. You know, velocity comes from my fingers. So
awesome.
So yeah,
I think
that's
really
how
cool.
it's different every time.
I think it's really cool because that's the way a live drummer does it. Like they hit the hi-hat harder if they want to get a louder hi-hat, or they hit it softer. I mean, and I agree with you. There's no rules. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it the other way. But me personally, like, I think that's super cool that you do it that way. It creates more of a. I think it's makes it more human. Not more better, but I think it makes it more human somehow. You know.
No, yeah, you're right. Because ultimately, what I'm doing here is I'm just using, electronic sounds, but giving it that human feel. So I'll tell you what really made me, I wouldn't say made me like okay with it, but made me just like kind of feel better. Because I used to be really like hard on myself about my timing and shit, right? But when I would notice other people trying to chop samples from records and they would struggle because, back in the day, they didn't have computers to program the drums. So and there's a certain point in music where all the drums were off. They weren't snapped to a grid, There was a point in music when all the drums weren't snapped to a grid. It's just what it is. So if I can kind of be the blend of the modern sounds, but with the old swag, then that's what I'm aiming to do. So just like you said, doesn't make it more better, but it makes it more human. And I think that's where the magic's at.
Yeah, right on.
How let me ask you, how often do you rehearse like what you're going to be doing on stage? Or do you just jump into it? Like what's your process leading up to a show?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm getting up to a show, a lot of practice, but it's a bit more focused because I used to just practice all the time. I used to just play for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Like I would be on my feet until I had cankles, just standing there, just doing like triplets or some shit, doing fucking paradiddles, like.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, my wife like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Stop! Like I'm trying to sleep. Like, yeah. So, but before shows,
Oh, that's great.
I definitely will be like, all right, we're gonna take a half hour. Because I found that that's a bit more beneficial to being like, hey, we're going to take a half hour, every day, 2 weeks out before the show, and really, and trust me, I'll have my set up before that, but about 2 weeks out, that's when I'm really like, all right, we're going to hit the drum machine, then we're going to go in the basement, get on the exercise bike, do the vocal runs, and then once I'm like exhausted, then I start going through the set for the for the raps and all that shit, but yeah, like 2 weeks out, half hour a day, get on the shit, get familiar with what I got going on, and then the rapping part, because, and I tell you what, it's a big gear shift starting to show off with the finger drumming and then being like, all right, y'all, picking the microphone up and then just screaming at every fucking body. So I got to make sure that my cardio's up for that, that I'm in shape for that, ready to do that, So yeah, that's a bit about the process.
I want to ask you real quick because I didn't see it in any videos. Like, so you're rapping. Are you actually playing live drums while you're rapping?
No. So what I've done, and I can do that too, but it's just a bit, I don't know. I found out that it works better because I'm not like shaking and trying to like rap, you know what I mean? Like if I'm doing these songs that I have, I put them I'll put the beat itself on a pad and just trigger it right then and there. But I can also like fuck with effects in the drum machine to, do like tape stops or wind downs or build ups and all that type of shit while I'm rapping. So it's definitely cool to see, so. Yeah, so I keep going off on tangents. I'm sorry, but no, I'm not playing the beat and rapping at the same time.
That's what we're here for. We're all about tangents. We should be called Just Tangent.
Just
We're just riffing here, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much it. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. I gotta play this though, because that's what we're doing.
Just riffing, just riffing, just riffing.
I forgot to take it off loop, so when I hit it, it just wants into this loop. Oh, it was another senior moment I'm having on the show today. I think this is very cool style, what you're doing here. Are you stuck in it? Is it like this is what you're doing now? Or is this something what you're doing? Like, is this something that you're doing now that you're going to continue doing? Or is this something that you're just doing now and going to move to a different style of maybe a project or something different afterwards, after you're...
No, I mean, I feel like everything that I've done in my music career is kind of built up to this, and I'm not about to sit here and say this is what I'm going to always do and just do this, because Like, hey, I might get a call to play bass for a band, and I might be
Okay.
like, oh shit, that's the money. Let me go fucking do that shit, you know? Or like, hey, yo, you want to come play guitar for us? Like, well, how much you paying? Okay, that is enough. That's enough. That's for me to, you know, that's side project worthy. You dig? Um, but no, like I like doing what I'm doing now because having played in a lot of bands and shit, dude, the shit gets tiring. Having to deal with all the different personalities and shit. Let's say there's somebody, God forbid, and I know this is rare, let's say you don't get along with another musician in the band. I know that never happens, but I'm like,
It's so
like
funny.
shit. Yeah, right. Like if I'm not getting along with somebody in the band, in my band now, I erase the button. I erase the button and boom, that band member is gone and I get a new one, you know? So I really love doing this, and plus it's, you know, kind of like a big FU to all the people who tell me that, oh, this, like, you can't. Who's going to watch you finger drum and rap? Like, people, nobody does that. Who does that? People don't. I'm like, that's exactly. Do you not see how that's the catch? That's the thing.
Yo, it's super cool, man. You know, it's really like, I think it's like the guitar shredders of the 80s, you know, is finger drummers that can really get down like you. Like that's, you know, I love guitar, and guitars, that's what I do. And guitar is still very popular and it's a niche and people dig it. But like to come out like you could be like, you know, finger drumming has that room for you to be that guy, where guitar players really, we've seen, I have much respect for a lot of the young guitar players coming up, but I've seen everything. I've seen it all, and I love it all still when I see it again. But there's a lot more room for a guy like you to really make like a change, and you know, and you know, get some shine and present some new shit to people, because it's so young compared to something like guitar, you know. So,
Yeah, absolutely, man. And even think about it, like, dude, I was the first person to put a finger drum and NFT on Ethereum. You know, like that's how new this shit is, and I've gotten lucky by combining the two super niche, you know, random things of Web3 and finger drumming. Now I'm, you know, like definitely pioneering a lot of shit, because when I talk to finger drummers who are even, you know, I'd say more successful, you know, you know, they make more money than me. They get, you know, opportunity to be in front of more people than I do, but they don't even fuck with Web3. You know, they don't even see that shit. But when I introduce it to them, like, yo, check this is what the fuck I'm doing over here. This is how I'm getting down. They're like, wait a minute, what? Like, you can do that? And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, this is how you do this shit. You know, so yeah, like you hit it dead on, man. Like I love guitar too, man. Like but it's I turn more heads when I'm sitting, you know, cross-legged somewhere out in public with the drum machine than I would with just the fucking guitar. You know, and I can play. So, you know, you're definitely 100% on there. Yeah, it's like, yo, dude, if you could like get in your own lane, fucking do it and run with it, you know?
yeah, for sure. That's the trick, man. And then I also love, guitar is cool, but getting back to what you're doing, it's the whole ensemble. So when you're sitting, like, you know, you could have somebody on a park bench singing "I Gave My Love a Cherry." That's cool. But you could be on a park bench with your little box on your lap making a whole concerto. You know, it's something
that,
cool.
that leads me to a second part of this question. Where's the most bizarre place that you've set up or that you've done your finger drumming, you know, like live like that?
Yo, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Lost connection for a little bit. Man, so the oddest place that I've set up, hold on, let me think, because I know I've done some fucking weird ones.
I want to know the most bizarre place you're like, how the hell am I going to do it in here or here?
The most bizarre place. I'm like running through all the settings
If
in my head right now.
if I stump you, I win 20,000 Myriad market points.
Yeah. Let me see. Shit, dude. I'm trying to think. The weirdest one. Because I mean, I did one.
The most memorable. Let's go with maybe the most memorable one.
Damn. Let me think. I gotta kick back and think about this shit, man.
That's what we do on Just Riffin. We make you think.
I mean, I think the one that was probably the most popular was Oh wait, I got it. So this one, and it sucks because the way that I shot it, you can't really tell what's going on in this one. But this one was like, you know, like I'm afraid of heights. I'm like really, really afraid of heights. Okay.
All right.
So we've got this waterfall that runs through our city, right? And it's in like three steps, right? There's one more up. I guess it's more towards the south. Then there's one like coming up more north, and then there's the.
Is it High Falls?
Lower Falls.
Lower Falls. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's High Falls, Middle Falls, and Lower Falls, right?
Okay.
And Middle Falls, they have a dam there, right? So they'll put the dam up, and that'll dry up Lower Falls. And Lower Falls is fucking high, yo. That's it's a fucking cliff. I tell you what, and it's never fully dry. It's always a trickling, just a little bit, but it's really slippery. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get a shot right on the edge of that. Like I'm gonna show up one day when it's dry, and I got lucky. So I don't know the schedule that they dry it out on, but yeah, I did one up there. That one I think was probably one of the crazier ones. But again, it's like you can't really see. You just see like kind of like a nice like backdrop behind me, but you don't see this fucking like 300-foot fucking drop.
That's so dope.
It's
That's
badass.
so
You know, that makes me think. As a matter of fact, when Hef asked you this question, I was thinking it would be really cool if you guys got to know that guy Drift Isaac that takes all those pitch. Is his name? Takes all the
Drift.
pitches.
Drift.
Yo, maybe you guys could do a collab where you go on not one of those super crazy things, which actually they're all super crazy. Never mind.
Look at GodCloud. He's like, hell no.
Never mind. I forgot you have children. Never mind.
He's like, leave my name out.
Yo, I'm so afraid of heights, yo. Like, yo, I be doing my toilet scroll in the morning. I see some of his shit, I'll be fainting, yo. I'd be afraid to look down at my feet. Like, yo, man, how the hell does he get up there and do that? But yeah, like I'm all about trying to get like the wildest possible shots, and I even got that idea from another Web3 finger drummer. Because when I was in a space one time, and we were all just talking, and he goes, and I had already kind of been diving into the different like backdrops and settings and shit, right? But he was like, yeah, like when did you drop your finger drumming video? And I'm like, why are you asking like that? But turns out he dropped his a few months after I did mine, but he was in Hawaii, I believe, and he did one in like a fucking volcano. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, damn, dude. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, I got to step my game up. Motherfuckers making beats in volcanoes and shit. Like, it's fucking on now,
Who's your favorite producer I mean, do you call it finger drumming? What's the term for it?
That's what everybody calls it. And I'll be honest, I don't really like that term. Like when
it just sounds weird.
It does sound weird. Right. It sounds weird. People look at you like, what? Like, you do what? Like,
yeah. Because, like, when I'm beating on the desk like this.
Right.
How about, finger
drumming.
What do you think? Like finger banging?
No.
Finger banging.
No.
Yo.
No.
We're here live, everybody. Jus Riffin every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here with the best finger banger in the world, GodCloud. Change. Just playing. He's married, everybody. We're just goofing over here. But so I mean, what would you term it? Because like finger drumming, just like I said, sounds like something that you would, like do at your desk, like, or in your car, finger drumming, like.
Yeah, you're doing like yeah. And what I tell people is like, I'm like, I play drum machines live, or I do live beat production,
Yeah, I like that.
I've been leaning more towards just telling people I play drum machines. That's what I do. That's what it is. Like a lot of people like to program, and I'm in a lot of drum machine groups on Facebook, and sometimes I'll just go in there. I'm like, fuck, I need an engagement boost. I'll be like, yo, like people who program suck or some shit, just to start some shit. You know what I mean? But right.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? How would you say it? Beat maker? I did beat maker. Who's your favorite beat
My
maker?
favorite beat maker, man. I don't really think I even have one because
That's of the new era. That's of this new quote unquote finger drumming. You know
oh,
who?
you mean like finger drumming wise? Like
Yeah,
who I
yeah.
fuck
You know,
with?
that's like that's in the same like kind of genre of what you're doing. Same
I
lane as
mean,
what you're doing.
I'm shit.
Who stands out?
Like okay, so I usually have to kind of not even kind of, but I gotta acknowledge the OGs, and these are the only cats that I've paid for lessons from.
Wow. Okay,
But,
I didn't even know that they have such a thing. Is it like a class you took?
well, yeah, I hit him up on Instagram. Was like, hey, I will pay you if you teach me.
That's fucking awesome, bro. What the hell?
Yeah. It's like, I figured, what?
Now I know your secret. Well, not your secret, but I know the secret to getting good at it.
Yeah, listen,
yeah.
40 bucks is 40 bucks apparently, and that counts in the finger drumming world as well.
Hey, I like it. Much respect.
I think, and I'm not sure if these guys are still charging that anymore.
Sure.
This guy Da Vinci, who plays with Lauryn Hill, he's like the electronics guy for Lauryn Hill. And
Wow.
this dude's, he's fucking bad, yo. Like he can play. I've seen him, and I can do this too. But the way he does it is just so off the wall. He plays two drum machines at the same time. Like he'll have drums on one hand, melody on one hand. If you look through my stuff, you see me doing that too. But he kicks it up a notch, and he can play 3 drum machines at once. He starts using his chin and his nose, and starts
some
playing
little Richard shit going on, man.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I'm like, is this dude fucking for serious? But Da Vinci's wild. David Haynes, he's the godfather of all this shit. Like
did he start it?
Basically, yeah, and he's been doing it longer than I've been alive, and I'm 38 years old. So, like,
wow,
nobody.
So guys doing it that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't really know, but you look into the history of it. There's guys like him. There's another cat, Jeremy Ellis, who, from what I understand about Jeremy Ellis, is that he comes from a long line of pianists, right? Like his family going back hundreds of years. They're all classically trained on piano. And he said somebody put an MPC in front of him, and he was like, "What is this?" Then he played it, and he was like, "Oh, I got this." And he just took his piano skills and put that on the MPCs, and I'd say that those cats are like my top 3, live drum machine. Fuck it, we're just gonna say finger drummer. See, this is what happens. You try to think of a new phrase for it, but it's like, well, what are we talking about? It's like, it goes back to finger drumming. But yeah, those are my top guys.
That's dope, man. That's very dope. Go ahead, Cookie. I didn't want to cut you off there, bud.
I was gonna say it's funny though, because I guess it does go back a long time like that, because I think even before there was an MPC, I think there was the Emulator 2 Plus, which Ensoniq made this. It was before the ASR 10 or any of that stuff. And a friend of mine was a kid, and he was working. His dad was a musician, and he worked very young. And he had this thing. And when he had a little studio, and he would play drums. Back then, they recorded. This was before DAT tape. They had this Akai MG1214. It was digital, like videotape recording. And he had all this gear because he was a professional musician when he was like 15 years old. It's crazy. But this Emulator 2 Plus, he was a crazy piano player, but that's what he would do. Like a band would come over, but they didn't have a live drum set. He would just play it, but on piano. But it's evolved so much more since then. Like he would play, and it was good. Don't get me wrong, he was amazing, but it's a different level now. The way guys are doing, the stuff, because he would take the drums and play drums. But really, I don't even look at it as your finger drumming. You're more like finger banding. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because I see you're playing bass lines, you're playing melodies, you're playing drums. And that's what I mean, like, as far as like a guitar player sitting on a park bench or a solo musician, I love that. And that has a charm, and I love that just as much. But when you're bringing a whole soundscape from a little box in your fingers and you're playing it live, it's kind of a different thing. And it's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to say there's another dude. There's someone else that I came across. I ended up started following him on Instagram, which I'm really not on Instagram, but I just really to look at things. I'm not on there for my own personal stuff, but it's uh Datsun Music. Are you
Oh
familiar
yeah,
with him?
yeah. I know that one. Yeah.
Datsun.
Hmm.
I reached out to him too, but he's got a lot of followers, so who knows? My DM fell. You know, who knows where it went? But yeah, I wanted to know what you thought of him, and does that inspire you watching people like him or other producers like yourself that are doing the same thing?
Yeah, I definitely definitely like his style. You know, like he's got a real dynamic way of playing, and that's the thing. Like I don't, and again, like I said, it's all no rules, but I feel, abides by the same ethos that I have. Um,
Yeah,
you know, and I think we both actually got to demo XLN's Addictive Drums before it came out too. So that's how I caught wind of him. Was he was on in the crew of us who got Addictive Drums too early. And yeah, I love his style. He's a great he's a great player.
yeah. You guys are both two different contrasts of the style of music, but you guys are both doing the same thing. You're super clean. He's super clean too. I really, really dig you guys doing this. This is like just it blows my mind seeing it every time, quite honestly, because it's never the same. It's always something different, and you're doing something. You're keeping it moving. You're not just like hitting the button and letting the beat play, and then you're actually physically doing something with the music, which is it's very difficult to do, especially making beats live on a drum machine and then staying in time and whatnot. With this being said, how many times, I mean, do you get nervous every time you step up to do it live?
Hell yeah, bro. Listen,
Love
it's
it.
like when we were getting on the road. Biggs, who's in charge of everything, right? She's got her son DJing at shows with us too, and she's like, "Hey, GodCloud, Nav Angel wants to ask you something," and I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, man?" And he's like, "How do you get over stage fright?" I'm like, "Bro, what?" I'm like, "You asking me?" I'm like, "I don't know, shit." Like, yeah, and I tell you what, like when I'm doing, there's been times where I've like brought up the wrong programs and
Oh,
shit. Like I didn't know. I'm like, oh shit, this. I got this beat set up, and like, oh damn, this is what's happening. And I think it's the first time I performed at NFT NYC, I didn't know what was coming up. So each time I'd switch the banks over, it was something I didn't know. I'd hit the
Oh.
button, and the loop would start. I'm like, okay, it's this one, and then go along with it. But yeah,
yeah.
man, there's been times where like I couldn't hear my click track in my
Oh
headphones, so
shit, dude.
you kind of gotta fucking wing it. But I like I'm trained enough to know like, okay, this is starting to sound like trash. Bail, tuck and roll, go
Yeah,
to
yeah.
ask them how the fuck we doing tonight and do this, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Hey,
yeah.
you
The
know,
good thing about that is that not sorry, Cookie, I didn't mean to cut you there, but not many people are gonna know how it's supposed to go, right? So if yeah, so
yeah.
you know what I'm saying. Go ahead, Cookie.
No, well, since we're on this subject and you're talking about the other stuff, the software you were exposed to, I'm wondering, like, like, I want to geek out on your weapon of choice. Like, what is your tool, and do you link it with the computer sometimes and use it as a MIDI controller, or do you use it all just in the box, or do you do a little of both? I'm interested in all that, man.
Yeah, for sure. So what I use now is the MPC Live 2. Um, I my DAW of choice is Reason. I know a lot of people like don't use
Old
Reason
school.
or hate on Reason, but I fucking love Reason. And I went from with Reason. I started off with a cracked copy. It wasn't even cracked. I stole it. I stole it, then I brought it back. I stole it, then I brought it back. So it's not really, it's kind of on the up and up. But I went from having to get it like that to them hitting me up to do product demos and my whole arc of using them. So I shout out to Reason, love Reason.
Awesome.
And yeah, everything that I make is in Reason, and then I export it into the MPC Live too. So I use an MPD 214 for all my MIDI stuff. You know what I mean? Like if I'm doing, you know, whatever. That's the little drum pad that I have for when I'm at home hooked up to the computer. Because yeah, I'm like shit. Like I paid $1,500 for this drum machine, and I'm like, I'm not using it as just a MIDI controller. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
it's got a battery and a speaker. I feel kind of, you know, like dude, like just use the little thing. You're good.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so Reason, and then everything goes into the Live too.
Very cool. Very cool. Was that the MPD in that old school video of that Hef showed of you?
Yeah, dude, that's my MPD 24. That's the OG shit that, you know, kind of what? No. Because I had, damn, wow, you guys are making me like fucking think.
It might have been the 16. Did they make a 16? I don't even know.
Did they? MPD? No, I don't think they. Did they?
I don't know, to say the truth.
Yeah, because I started off on the. I mean, other than the you know, my dad's actual MPCs, he had an MPC 2000 XL and a 3000. I think he had a 4000 too.
That's your pops? Your pops?
Yeah, that's my dad. Yeah.
Is your dad still making beats? What's he doing?
Yeah. He's still doing stuff. You know, it's funny because my uncles, again, they're like my dad's like friends and partners that he grew up with, you know, that are like considered my uncles. One of them works for Akai, and I was telling my dad for the longest time, like, listen, dude, you need to get these new joints. The new machines are fucking fire. I'm like, they blow the old ones out of the fucking water. Like, what are you doing? He's like, no. And then he came over for Christmas, and I think this is shortly after I had gotten the Live too. And he sees it, and he's like, is that it? I'm like, yeah, man, that's it. He's like, can I touch it? I'm like, put these gloves on, you can touch it. But then he starts poking around and he's like, holy shit. He's like, this is nuts. And then like overnight, he just had, you know, everything. He got the 61 key, he got the X, he got all the stuff. And I'm like, damn, dude. He was like, well, yeah, you know, I talked to your uncle, and he got me hooked up. And I'm like, of course you did. Like, where the fuck was y'all at when I did this shit? But yeah, like the first one that I got started on that was like a MIDI controller that I was using with Reason and started finger drumming on was the MPK 25.
Oh yeah, MPK. I had one of those.
Yeah. It had 16. No. It had 12 pads on it, and I tried to do a sensitivity mod on it with bike inner tube and electrical tape.
Wow.
And yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work like I wanted it to. But yeah, that's where I got my start. Then to the MPD 24, then I got an MPD 32, and then I got the 218, and then Web3 happened, and I was like, holy shit, money, let's get some new shit.
Nice.
So leading into, speaking of Web3, were you coming from a traditional music background? Were you releasing music in Web 2, so to speak, and then transition to Web 3? And why did you feel like moving from Web 2 to Web 3 was going to be more beneficial, or did you not know? Like, what was the purpose of taking that leap?
Well, I tell you what, like when I first saw Web 3, I was like, yo, this is some bullshit. Like, this sounds like a fucking scam and a half. Like, y'all are doing what over here? Like, I knew what crypto was and everything, but I just didn't understand. Like, when the way somebody had explained it to me, they're like, yeah, it's like you take your art and you swap it for crypto. And I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, I didn't understand blockchain. I didn't understand that, like, oh shit, now the provenance is fucking immutable. Like, damn, oh, this is something big. But nah, and it's funny how we kind of stumbled into it. But I was part of this crew. We were called Sound Umbrella, right? We were just doing like marketing and shit. All of us had, you know, worked together in some capacity and had success with our collaborations and everything. I don't know if you remember NFT Tips. Yeah, you do? Okay, cool. So yeah, my crew ended up going on to start NFT Tips. We all found out about NFTs at the same time, right? I don't know if you remember Stoner Matt from NFT Tips.
I don't remember him specifically.
No, you don't? No? Okay. But it was me, Stoner Matt, Kaz Vegas, Glassy. We were all a crew prior Web3, right? Then we find out about NFTs through another homie. They were like, "Oh wow, this is something." I'm like, "I don't get it." But after like a week of seeing the clubhouse rooms they were in get bigger and starting to bring on more, this shit was like happening within like a week or so of us finding out about it. It was happening really fast. That's when I was like, let me take another look at this shit. So I dug in, figured it out, and was like, fuck. I'm like, okay, this is something here. And I started developing kind of like an alternative to NFT tips and teaching, more minorities about blockchain and everything. Because I just noticed there was like a big disconnect going on. I'm like, hey, like, if, like here, we could do this over here. And I was a bit, what I was doing was I was really paying attention to people individually and helping them get onboarded. And through this whole process of me and 808 Wave, who I partnered up with, we ended up onboarding over 10,000 people. It's probably been way more than 10,000 in, in just a few months. Just really like a few months. But yeah, I'd say I got into Web3 at the very end of 2020. And by March 4th, which is also my daughter's birthday, it was on her first birthday that I sold my first NFT. It was a finger drumming video, right? This is after I had been teaching about it for a minute. Just hadn't had a sale yet. And yeah, when I made $25 in Ethereum off of a minute-long video, I was like, oh, okay, all right. We're switch. Okay, I got it now. And then I turned that little $25 purchase into the car that's in my driveway back home.
Love it, dude.
All the drum machines, all the guitars and shit that you see. Like, yeah, just kind of ran with that.
Now, how is it going for you today, opposed to how it started for you?
Well, listen, bro. So, I mean, it's not as much money as it was back then,
What do you think is lacking today? What do you think is lacking from then to today? What can make it better? How do we get people more on board with music on the blockchain?
Well, I think what's got to happen is people just have to get used to that being a part of the like marketing with other artists and shit. Because what was happening in the beginning with Web3, and when I say in the beginning, I mean like 2020, 2021, whatever, right? What was happening in that era is that there was so much hype about it that it literally was that you could just put anything on the blockchain and people would hope that it was their big ticket and they would buy it. They'd pay anything fucking for it, Like, you guys were there. You saw it. It was fucking crazy. People were buying up anything. And I think a lot of the hype left. And while the hype was leaving, musicians were seeing like, oh, damn. Because, dude, like, we were doing spaces back then saying, can you make music NFTs? Like, it was like, can you even do this? That was the question. Not like, oh, are they viable? Are they not? It's like, no. It was still very early. There were a few music NFTs like that were out, but once more artists started to come in around the tail end of the hype, they're thinking like, shit, I can make an NFT. It'll make me money. And they either had no business sense or were just brand new artists and were trying to figure out like, damn, how do I blow up and make a bunch of money in Web3 just coming out of fucking nowhere, And I think a lot of people saw that wasn't the case. It's not how it worked. They got, disillusioned or disenfranchised, whatever you want to say, and they took off. you know. Um, but what I and even the fans too of people who are like, oh hey, doing an NFT, it's like, well, what, why, you know, for what? And that's always been the question, or that could never get answered. Is like, well, why am I going to buy here and not there? You know, and that's because people aren't making it special. They're not making this be a special experience. They just think, oh, everything is NFT, so it has value. No, people need to. You need to do everything. You need to market your shit in Web2 a lot, and then you got to try to get people to get down to those NFTs, and those NFTs gotta, you know, they gotta be special. Because if your hardcore fans are gonna go through all this shit to get them, it better be fucking dope. It better be something unique, you know.
True.
So that's what I think that the customers need to get used to, that being like, oh damn, well, my favorite artist might have like this Easter egg of an NFT that I really want to go get, and I think that the artists need to be like, hey, I need to make something special and use the blockchain in a way that I couldn't just do with a fucking email. That's what I see a lot of too. People be like, oh yeah, it's my NFT, but you get like backstage access. It's like, well, you can do that without blockchain. So let's stop. Don't token gate this backstage access because you want to get paid in ETH and ETH is pumping, you know? And yeah, I think that really has fucked up the space a lot too. People doing
Understood.
shit like that.
I got one more question. We're gonna wrap this up here because we're at the top of the hour, and I don't want to keep you too long. I know we lost GodCloud for a minute, but if you could still hear me, I know that you know, you're at the airport and you know, you probably want to get onto your hotel and get to your shit going. So we don't want to keep you too much longer. You know, with music and the blockchain and the way things are currently, you being a musician as well, what platform, if you were to build a platform, how would you build it for musicians, for fans? What's your take on that? What's your outlook on that? What would you create?
You're saying if I were to make like a blockchain, a music,
Yeah,
blockchain
if you were
platform,
to make a streaming platform for music that's blockchain related, what
yeah,
would you do, or would
you
you
know,
not?
you know what? Like how I would. I don't even think it would be at the platform section of it. What I would do and what I've tried to do with working at the record label with George Lopez and everything, because we all, you know, kind of put it. Well, him and Andy Vargas is the lead singer of Santana's band. They had this record label. They brought me on to do Web3 shit, and I'm thinking like, hey, everybody's trying to do a Web3 record label. Like, but the problem with the record industry is the lack of transparency. So if the music business itself was built on chain, you know, so artists can see exactly how many streams are coming in, and they can just go to like an Etherscan and check and see all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'd want to do. I'd like to build the music industry on top of blockchain technology, and if everything was transparent and honest and paid a fair wage too, I think that it wouldn't really matter where or how the platforms behave, because we can all quickly see how, you know, like, hey, how you gonna? Because right now, what did Spotify say? They're like, they're not paying out until you get over like 1,000 streams or some shit like that. Well, how do we know? We're literally taking their word for it that we got that many streams. You know, there's no way to tell. There's no way to know. You know, so that's something that I'd like to see, because Spotify, you could really like check on their back end or just go into a Spotify scan.io or some shit like that. We'd be good. We wouldn't even need to even talk about music NFTs, because it would be taking care of the root issue.
Word
you
up.
know what I'm saying? So that's
what's up.
Insight on that.
Hell yeah! Thanks for answering that, man. I don't ask everybody that question, but I think, you know, it was cool enough to ask you that question. So thanks so much for answering that, taking the time to give us your opinion on that as well. Cookie, I'm gonna leave the mic to you. You got any last things you want to jump in on?
I just want to thank you, GodCloud, man. I really dig your music, and I dig your takes on stuff too. I got to say, I'm with you. What you just said about the blockchain stuff, I think I'm like, that's 100% parallel with my thinking on it. Use the trustless ledger to keep things so we don't have to trust. We just see what they are and build business on top of that, build relations on top of that, fan to artist engagement, label to artist, or if the artist runs their own platform, they can see, and it's just a very powerful tool, and we can just use it for what it was kind of built for. But so thank you, and appreciate you, and I'm going to definitely dig into more of your music too, because I just kind of got started with that, and it's really awesome. So thank you.
Very cool. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm glad we got to do the interview. I was like, man, like I don't want to miss this. You know? So I'm glad
Hell
that
yeah,
I got
dude.
to catch up with y'all. And,
That's right.
chat about some dope shit. But
Most
yeah,
definitely.
I gotta get. I think
Most
they want
def.
me on stage soon too, so I gotta figure that out. But
Excellent. Well, you feel free to zip out if you need to. I'm going to wrap up the show. I want to thank you again for coming through. Everybody, this is Jus Riffin. We do it every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, powered by Rug Radio. Tonight we had special guest GodCloud on the show with us, beatmaker extraordinaire. If you get a chance to check him out, make sure you do. GodCloud, real quick before you go, where are you going to be at? So in case anybody that's listening is in Austin, they can go check you out while you're going to be in town.
yeah, hold on, I got my little. Hold on, I got the little.
And you can plug your website and all that stuff. Anything else that you wanna plug?
I am going to be at. It's at Club 420. Club 420, Austin,
Perfect.
Texas. Yeah, right. It's going to be lit. But yeah, it's Beyond the Block Tour, Austin, Texas, Club 420. We're going to be there tonight and tomorrow, too. My official showtime is tomorrow at like 9, I think. But there's some stage time tonight, too, that I think I might go jump on. So I guess they said I'm like 11 minutes away from the venue here at the airport. So yeah. But,
Excellent, dude. And I'm sure you're going to have some video on that, so we'll be able to check that out. Again, don't want to keep you. Thanks again for being a part of the Jus Riffin show. We'd love to have you come back on anytime. Open door policy, whenever you'd like. And we'll keep the convo going. I'll send you that information on Spawn, that software I was talking about.
Yeah,
I'll send that to you. I'll DM you some information on that, and you can check that out on your own. In the meanwhile, thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been another episode. Next week we have awesome DJs, part of Be Real show. Be Real from Cypress Hill, DJ C-. I know him for a long time. Great dude. He's DJ'd for Korn. You name it, this guy is big time. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation with him next week. Thanks again, GodCloud. J6C6, aka Cookie Rabinowitz, my guy. Love you, bro. Thank you again as well for your time. And everybody else listening, this has been Jus Riffin. We'll see you next week. Thank you and peace.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Jus Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Jus Riffin. Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology. Jus Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Jus Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Jus Riffin.